There are so many things in this world that are all about behavior modification, and it doesn't work. This program is about heart transformation. It's about transforming kids' lives. And for me as a parent, that is so crucial.
All right, so we're all here today. We're going to talk about some of the top questions that we all see coming through our organization. I'm the marketing director, and so I spent a lot of time online looking at the questions that are coming in on social media. And you all get questions every day in your different roles. So why don't you just take a second, introduce yourself, and say what your role is here at LifeWise.
I'm Christina Romer, and I am the Teacher Support Manager here at the Support Center.
I'm Vince Coleman. I'm the Citywide Director for LifeWise Academy.
And I'm Derek Steeman. I'm the Vice President of Advancement. Our team's responsible for advancing the mission all across the nation.
And I'm Philip Fox. I'm the marketing director. And these questions that we're going to go through today are real questions pulled from real people in real situations. So, you guys ready for the first one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. This is a question that comes up a lot. Why should my tax dollars be used to promote your religion?
Yeah, that's a great question, but the reality is tax dollars are not used. This is entirely privately funded. We are really blessed. We have tens of thousands of people all over the country that help make this opportunity possible so that schools don't have to pay for it, parents don't have to pay, but it is entirely private dollars that is funding this opportunity.
I'm a former principal. And one of the things when I first heard about LifeWise was the fact that based on the 1952 Supreme Court ruling, that is three components that make this possible. And that is that it has to be off school grounds. And the key for me was not publicly funded. Parents sign off on it, but it's the not publicly funded because I knew as a principal, we didn't have a lot of dollars and there were a lot of programs that were coming in and they were asking for, compensation. But the fact that this is community driven, the community asked for no compensation whatsoever, not even using the printer in the school for, printing off flyers. We are doing our due diligence to make sure that we are staying true to the law as far as no compensation from the school, no cost from the school.
But what about separation of church and state?
This is really the full carrying out of what that means because we're off school grounds. And so we're not, bringing the religion into the schools. We are once a week walking the kids over to a off-site facility where students can learn the Bible-based character education course.
That's a big one we hear constantly, and there's a lot of debate in the world about what separation church and state is, what it means. But I just love that in this opportunity, kind of what Vince shared is that even if you take the most extreme view that they should be completely and utterly separated, LifeWise is a beautiful manifestation of that because we are literally separating students from the public school, taking them off school grounds, whether that's to a church, a community center, and teaching them the Bible and then returning them back to the school grounds.
Right. But come on, isn't that just a loophole in the law that you're exploiting?
No, actually, this is Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, ruled on this directly on release time religious instruction. That was the ruling in 1952, that if those three criteria that Vince mentioned are met, it's off school grounds, privately funded, and parent permitted. This is entirely legal. It's the parents' opportunity to take advantage of this if they want religious education for their school. It's so powerful that more than half of the states in the nation today actually have laws on the books directly pertaining to release time religious instruction.
And I don't think another key point is the parent right. A lot of pushback comes that, it's almost like you make it seem as if kids are compelled to go. And if parents don't want their kids to go, they don't have to go. But there are parents that do opt for their students to be able to participate. And do we deny them that right as a parent for their child to be able to participate in what's legal, according to the Supreme Court ruling? I It just doesn't. It's like the pendulum swing. You just don't. You don't compensate one set of parents for what opposition wants, and these are parents having that right to choose for their students.
Okay, so remember, these questions come from social media comments, and anyone who's spent any time on social media knows that comments can get a little heated. But here's one directly. What the bleep do education and religion have to do with each other?
Well, again, I think it comes back to that parent choice. For some parents, I'm a parent of 3 children. Religious education is vital to my kids' education. It is foundational in my beliefs. It's foundational to everything that our country is about. But even more than that, I want it to be a foundational part of my kids' lives. I want them learning Bible stories and understanding biblically based character education. How when Jesus is part of our lives, our entire lives can be transformed. There are so many things in this world that are all about behavior modification, and it doesn't work. This program is about heart transformation. It's about transforming kids' lives. And for me as a parent, that is so crucial. I think that is just as important as biology and calculus and any other educational subject that they might learn in the school day. And so for parents, we want all parents to have that opportunity. The Supreme Court said it's possible. Now we just want parents to be able to have that. If they believe as strongly in biblical education, we want them to have that opportunity as well.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So this is America. People can believe what they want. So as a parent who wants this for their kids, why shouldn't you just be teaching them at home? Why are you trying to indoctrinate other people's kids?
Well, I think a lot of times schedules anymore get in the way of that. We want parents to be able to teach this at home. We want that to be possible. We want students to go to church. To
Have at it.
Yeah.
Have at it. Teach them. We would love it.
Yeah, we do. We want that to happen at home, but we also want parents, if they believe, again, this is a foundational core educational thing that they want their students to learn, we want them to be able to have that opportunity as well. Christina, you're a former teacher, right? Yeah, you've been able to see this play out. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of parents that would love to be able to have the time to teach this, to teach the character qualities, to teach the Bible lessons, but reality is they don't have time, or they would rather our trained teachers be able to teach them from our curriculum to be able to do that as well. And the results speak for themselves. We have so many different teachers that have told us that students are coming back changed, that they are transformed because they're learning respect, because they're learning gratitude, because they are truly being transformed by the gospel. And so this is why parents are really gung-ho for their children to be released, to be able to learn those things.
Many parents believe this is part of a holistic education. So it's not an either or, it's a both and. Many parents, including myself, I've had some incredible examples of teaching my son Bible stories and then expounding on those Bible stories to other stories. And he said, Oh, I know that, Dad. And I said, oh, do you remember me teaching you that? And he said, no, I learned it in LifeWise. And so it's an expansion and it's a support system. That's what LifeWise is. We believe we're a supportive ally, not only to teachers who are having to fight for things like better character educations, but also to parents.
Right.
We want to be a supportive ally in their education of their students.
Right. And we do hear that a lot. We do hear parents that have come back and said, my student blew me away. My child blew me away. They were talking about reliability and how, Mom, you should be able to rely on me to empty the dishwasher. When you say that you want me to empty the dishwasher and you say that I'm going to do it, you should be able to rely. So just a small example, but a lot of parents are seeing the difference in their students, even at home, as well as in school, with the teachers saying the same thing. So yeah, to your point, Derek, it is definitely transforming not just students' lives, but then the parents are being blown away and transforming the whole family, transforming what's happening at home as well.
Yeah, and we're getting a lot of good feedback also from educators, just in terms of how it's impacting the climate and culture within schools, where students are, treating their neighbors a little bit better, just based on how they've experienced LifeWise lessons, learning respect, and modeling that within their own behavior. So we hear a lot of improvement in terms of playground behavior and classroom behavior. And I know from a teaching standpoint, when you don't have to deal with discipline as much, you can accomplish much more within the classroom based on, kids that are coming ready to learn.
Right.
And well behaved. And I think about one of the principals in one of our schools in the inner city that just shared in a feedback form that she's seeing an increase in attendance on the days that students are attending LifeWise. They want to be there, but also over 50% of the students' behavior is improving based on their being able to participate routinely in LifeWise. So it's directly impacting the climate and culture. You have kids that are showing up. You can't educate them if they're not there. But then also they're staying in the classroom because, hey, I know how, I know what God's expectation of my behavior is. Mm-hmm. And I'm willing to, be a better student because somebody is working with me. Somebody is challenging me to be better.
Yeah, this is why we say at LifeWise positively impacts students, schools, and communities. Mm-hmm. We're seeing at every level, students' lives being transformed, communities and schools being transformed through this biblically based character education.
Okay, so this is a question for all the Christian parents that you just discussed that want this for their kids. So there are an enormous amount of churches that all interpret Scripture differently and teach varying worldviews. How can you make sure that the LifeWise teachings match up with yours?
That's a good question. We say that we keep the main and plain things in Scripture. The main and plain things are what we teach in the LifeWise classroom. So we definitely are non-denominational. We keep it as far as the gospel goes, very main and plain. Don't get into the weeds.
Yep. And one of the things I love about our process is that we encourage multiple churches to come together across denominational lines to be able to facilitate classes. And so what we're seeing across the board are, Baptists, Catholics, Pentecostal, apostolic coming together. And it's not a matter of doctrine. It's a matter of we want to love on kids. We want to share our lives, our experiences with young people. We're willing to volunteer our time. We're willing to commit to this process, our dollars, so that we can see kids impacted that are hungry for, just caring adults beyond, our parents, a lot of times are overwhelmed. Sometimes parents are, working, they're doing all different types of things to be able to make ends meet. And this is just the churches rallying together to be an additional support to families. We're hearing where churches are responding to, food insecurities. We're hearing where churches are responding to, parent, that are in crisis. And this is just another opportunity for the churches as a whole to come together and really carry out the mission of the gospel is to serve. Mm-hmm. And we're seeing servanthood, beyond just the LifeWise classes, but it's extending to our schools and to our families as well.
Yeah, because we keep that main thing, mm-hmm. the main thing, it's allowing communities to unify and to grab on mm-hmm. to LifeWise as a tool to reach their community in a unifying way. And I think it's a really powerful thing because kids are hurting. Mm-hmm. Kids are in need. The statistics are plain. They're clear. All-time highs, anxiety, depression, and suicide. We are losing kids in one of the wealthiest nations on earth who have all the physical needs they have, but there's something missing. And communities are rallying around this opportunity to reach those kids who are hurting.
Yeah, and I love, that Derek says that because we have stories across communities, rural, suburban, and urban communities where, there's been direct impact on students that have said that I want to end my life. But because they are participating, they felt confident enough to share with a caring adult in a space where in the school setting, I might get lost in the numbers, but in a LifeWise program where I've built relationship with somebody, I'm willing to make that statement to someone and get the help that I need. That I need. And so we've seen countless stories where students have said that they want to commit suicide, but because we've been able to communicate that with the school has been able to mobilize resources. The churches have been able to mobilize resources to really kind of help not only that student, but those families that, are struggling to kind of be a support to their, students as well.
I remember one of those examples, a very powerful example. The administrator said, if it wasn't for LifeWise, I don't know if that student would have been seen. And that's a really powerful statement. And so it's really important for us to be able to have that opportunity for communities to come together and to support their students. And that's one of the neat byproducts that we're seeing from LifeWise Academy.
And not to continue belabor this, but as your question was about the different types of churches and how do we know what we're teaching is aligned with all of those. The beauty of our LifeWise classroom is it is made up of students that go to different churches. And so to be in community with each other, with one person going to a Baptist church and another student going to an apostolic church or another student going to a Catholic church, it is such a cool and awesome opportunity. It's beautiful to have these students be able to be in the LifeWise classroom together, learning the main and plain things in Scripture together in their different churches with different pastors that are leading their churches. So it is a diverse group typically in the LifeWise classroom, which brings a lot of value to the discussions that they do have as they dive deep.
Okay, but why does this have to happen during the school day? Why can't you do it before or after school?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just speaking as a parent, parents' schedules are crazier than they've ever been. You think about extracurricular activities of kids. I have 3 kids myself, so it's just very difficult for my wife and I to get them to before and after school programs, let alone our work schedules. But as a parent, this is something I want for my kids, and the convenience of it being during the school day, and not only the convenience part of it, but the fact that this is something I want to be integral to my child's education. I want them to be learning about religious values. And we've done some recent polling and found that 3/4 of Americans believe character values are missing from our public schools and need to be incorporated. And so I think there are a lot of folks just like me and my wife that want to see this for our kids. And the school day is what makes it possible.
Yeah, and I think about, in our, culture now, I know in some communities you have single parents at a rate of 70% of homes, down to 40% of homes, depending on which community you come from. And so a lot of times single parents carrying the load of having to be the key breadwinner, having to work multiple jobs. A lot of times they don't have that opportunity to be able to, attend church on a regular basis. You have sports, when I was growing up, we didn't have AAU kind of impeding upon our Sunday mornings, so we could go. But, you want your kids to be able to participate in opportunities. So a lot of times it's really a support to parents to have that option of during the school day for that, 45 minutes to an hour a week. For their students to be able to kind of learn the morals and the gospel and be able to kind of have those conversations in their quiet time. So it does give them an extension of a value that they want to be able to kind of have that taught during school hours and then be able to maximize it in their, quiet time in the evenings, quality time in the evenings.
At a particular LifeWise program that I was a part of, I was a teacher in, we were looking to expand to 4th grade. We were 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. We were looking to expand to 4th grade. And we did a poll with parents just out of curiosity and asked them, what would be better for you, for your family, if we had LifeWise before school, after school, or during school? It was just a curiosity question. 90% of them said that they really needed it to be during school because they simply did not have transportation for their students to get them before school to a LifeWise class, and they had no transportation to to pick them up after school if they typically have their students ride the bus home. So it was an overwhelming response that they really needed LifeWise. If we were to expand into fourth grade, they needed it to be during school in order for their student to be able to participate.
Yeah.
The other thing I don't think we often think about is that supportive ally to the schools piece. Like we look at our educators as heroes.
Yeah.
They have some of the most difficult jobs in the world today.
Absolutely.
They're not just teaching; they're also being a parent in many cases, a mentor, a coach, social worker. I mean, all of these roles
Nurse.
they're filling. Nurse, yes, they're filling all of these roles, and we want to just come alongside them as a supportive ally in the things like better character development and mental health for all of their students. And so, being in the school day allows us to be that additional support. And we've seen this. There's been some tragedies in many of the communities we serve where a child tragically loses their life in a car accident. And LifeWise is invited in along with the rest of the community to be there for the mental health services that are provided to the students that day. But it's because we are being a supportive ally to that school in the fight for better things like mental health and character development.
All right. How would you feel if another religion like Islam wants to do this same thing in our public schools?
Have at it.
Yeah. We would welcome it. I mean, the great thing about this opportunity from the Supreme Court is that it gives parents the opportunity to serve their student, to give their student religious education. And one of the great things about America is it's the land of the free, right? And we believe parents will make the right decision for them and their students. In fact, we don't always talk about the fact that release time, religious instruction, really a lot of the early case law was around a Jewish program. If you look in Utah, the Mormon Church has extensive programs in release time religious instruction. And so we are all for this. We just think this is a great opportunity because it gives parents the right to teach their kids something that they believe is fundamental to their education.
And that's the beauty of it too. It's release time religious instruction. It's not release time Christian instruction.
Right.
So it's a legal right for any community that wants to organize and be able to support their students, for parents to be able to have that option again. And Derek expressed it awesome. I mean, for a parent to be able to say, this is important to us. And if we can mobilize, if we can organize to be able to do it during the school day, then, as Christina said, have at it. We welcome, because we believe that it's really important to be grounded, from a moral context within the confines of what you believe as a family.
That's right.
So kids are already behind in school. We've all seen the numbers and the statistics post-COVID. And now you want them to miss class for this. How do you justify that?
We don't want them to miss any of their core classes. As the teacher trainer here at LifeWise, we train our LifeWise teachers to make sure that they do not cut into any education time. So we very diligently get the students back on time to make sure that the students do not miss any of their core classes. So we work with the school and we make sure that if there is any other time, electives, specials, lunch and recess, that would be the priority, that we would definitely have our LifeWise meet during those times to not cut into any kind of core educational classes.
Right. As Derek said, our teachers are heroes, flat out. I mean, they are asked to do so many different things and play so many different roles. But I think one of the things that LifeWise brings to the table in particular is that, a lot of our teachers are saying that they can focus on students that are, need a little bit extra support that may not be in the LifeWise program. So they can, because the class sizes become a little bit smaller, now you can focus on those that, need that additional instruction. to be able to help offset some of their particular needs. So it's been a value added to some of the impact that the teachers can have with smaller groups of students. But one of the things that I'm excited about too is just what it means for churches and the opportunities, for churches that really kind of rally around being a adopter of the school. So one of the things that we've seen in the inner city is churches mobilizing volunteers for LifeWise, but then also, can we get a group of volunteers that'll go in and read with students? And they choose out one day additional with a structured reading program from the school to be able to just volunteer and listen to a kid read and read back to the student. And we're starting to see some traction in terms of that impacting not only their academic success as well, especially as it pertains to reading. And, if the schools have math programs, one school has even gotten creative to say, hey, we'll help you take those students that are right on the edge. They can be, and just read with them while we focus on those students that are most needed. So we're just starting to expand into other ways in which volunteers from the churches can really engage to be a true support to teachers that oftentimes are overwhelmed by just the class sizes, and where we can kind of come in and impact as a value added to the school. Then that's ultimately what we want to do. We want to be a support. We don't want to just talk about, how bad the schools are without mobilizing to do something about it.
I love that word you use, value add. So one of your questions was about the numbers, right? Like looking at the numbers. And actually, we had an independent research firm, a third-party research firm, put together a study to see what is the true impact of LifeWise Academy. And what they found is that school districts that have LifeWise versus school districts that do not, the school districts that have LifeWise see a 7% increase in attendance. And the interesting thing is we don't have them 7% of the time. So that's a net positive for the school. So we don't want to take away from educational time. We want to give back educational time. And the great thing about that study is it also showed that school districts in year 2 and 3 start to see positive behavior changes in their students. They see reductions in the number of in-school and out-of-school suspensions in a compound way. So it gets better each and every year. So if students are attending more because of LifeWise and they're behaving better, it is increasing the academic time that they actually have in the classroom. And that's, we want to see that. We want more kids to be educated. We also just see the value of religious education being part of that holistic process.
Not only that, but also the value added goes along with the academic. A lot of times, directly, we have taken our classrooms and we've taken our curriculum and looked at the standards, looked at all the benchmarks that a lot of our public education teachers have to adhere to, and they want their students to meet certain standards state by state. We have matched up literacy, language arts are huge, and we definitely are adding to the success of a lot of our students because they are reading more in our classes. I actually, from experience too, I had a Spanish student who only spoke Spanish when he came into our LifeWise classroom. He started out with a Spanish Bible and quickly asked for an English Bible because he was reading this Bible, this nonfiction piece, word for word going through there. It was actually helping him learn English better. And his teachers actually commented on it, that his ESL teachers actually said, he's actually doing so much better and is taking his English Bible to class because he wanted to read in English what God's word said. So we are adding to, in a lot of different ways, even directly correlating with some of those state standards and some of those benchmarks. Literacy and language arts are one of the big ones. And so, yeah, we definitely see academic success success coming out of that, because we're definitely partnering in a way that we are separating, but we are partnering with some of those teachers to teach some of those standards as well.
And I love that too, and to piggyback on that, because I've heard stories of students with IEPs, and where it's been difficult sometimes in the classroom to see them demonstrate their goals or meet their goals. In LifeWise classes, it's been communicated how they are meeting some of those goals, to be able to, improve as students, so we're seeing evidence of them being able to perform in a smaller LifeWise setting where they're a little bit more confident, they're encouraged, and then we can communicate that to the school as well. So students are being seen, just in terms of their progress towards meeting their IEP goals as well.
I learned a powerful story just recently. I was visiting one of our inner city programs with one of our donors who wanted to tour the program and see what it was like. And the donor just flat out asked the teacher, he said, "This is great, but how do you know it's making a difference?" And the teacher explained that in that school district, they had behavioral IEPs. And when they first started LifeWise Academy, they would get off the bus with clipboards that were about this big. Now those clipboards are down to here. Students' lives are being transformed by the gospel. It's making a difference.
I could keep giving more stories as well. Just really quickly, we have a program where a student came to LifeWise, and we didn't know this, but in the school, the student had 2 full-time aides that would need to accompany him all day, full-time within the classroom. That program quickly found out that the student needed a buddy with him because of some of his special needs that he did have with behavior, and transitions were really tough for him. And so the LifeWise program worked with the parents, and they came up with a plan where the LifeWise program had a volunteer buddy that stayed with him all during LifeWise class, and he was so successful. And the parent literally said, "This is the first time that my child has not been kicked out of a program because of his behavior." And they were so thankful that LifeWise took the time to work with him and not give up on him and allow him to participate in LifeWise and to hear the things that he was hearing, the Bible-based character education that he desperately needed. It definitely, and the school was very shocked that we were able to serve the student in a way that they serve him with 2 full-time volunteers at school typically. So definitely success and value, another value added for sure.
Christina is so modest. She facilitates our teacher development and training. And one of the things I'm sure that I think is lost is that a lot of times we're getting retired teachers, we're getting teachers that are certified that for whatever reason have stepped away from the traditional setting. So there's a lot of expertise that comes into a LifeWise classroom that, they know IEP, they know ESL, they know different instructional strategies to be able to meet students where they are. And again, be a value added to those teachers that are in the classroom as a reporter, facilitator, commenter on different IEP goals, different types of things like that. So it's high quality in terms of the instruction that we put forward, and that's a compliment to the awesome Christina Roman.
All God bringing us, God bringing us who needs to be called. So it's definitely a great opportunity.
All right, what about the kids who don't go to LifeWise? Won't they feel left out or pressured to join?
Well, we certainly don't want any child to feel pressured in any way. In fact, we're teaching character values like respect and love and just kindness. And so we are definitely not teaching kids in any way to pressure other kids. And the reality is, though, we see this throughout, is kids are separated from the very beginning in school based on parent choices, student choices, whether that's, you think about examples like band, right? Like my kids participate in band, but I have friends' kids who don't. And they see them bringing in their band instrument and being part of a group, even taking trips as part of bands. My kids just got back from New York because of a band and choir trip that was taken. So kids and parents are naturally selecting programs that they want to opt in and be a part of. And LifeWise is no different. But we obviously, we certainly don't ever want a kid to feel left out. We've seen the effects of bullying and negative peer pressure on kids. And so we are, by teaching Bible-based character education, we're trying to do the very opposite, right? And really help kids make a difference and help kids feel included and respected and loved and cared for.
Yeah, I think about too, like it's not something that doesn't already happen in schools, as Derek said. You have athletics, where, I can remember trying out for a basketball team and getting cut. And so, you feel left out in certain instances, but those are just different aspects that, you don't want to, LifeWise in and of itself doesn't impose that. Again, it's a parent choice. But there are things already that happen in schools on a consistent basis, that, cause those separations. I can think of gifted students. I can think of students with IEPs. I can think of all different types of ways in which students are separated, or left out, based on, just being a part of the regular school program. So this is, to say that this is something that, in and of itself is the one tool that, separates students from all the other students, I don't think that's fair to us as an organization, nor fair to any other of the other programs in a school. Students should be able to participate in bands, should be able to participate in athletics. So, they should be able to participate in a release time program like LifeWise.
And from a very, very practical ground level experience as a LifeWise teacher, to continue to bring out those character educational qualities, we would tell the students, when you're going back in with your red folders, remember, where does it go? In our bag. Do you flaunt it and wave it around and say, here's my folder? No, Mrs. Romer, we don't. And so we teach them to go in discreetly and to put their folders back in their bag and to just get right back into learning, right back into the class. So anything that they bring back and forth, we are very, very diligent about making sure that the students know that going into their classroom, they just need to do their business and go in and put whatever they have into their backpack and then hop right back into the classroom. So we definitely on ground level teach and train our students to not want to make others feel left out, to not want to make them feel bad that they didn't get to go to LifeWise. So we definitely acknowledge that with our students, and we would love for other friends to join us, but we definitely don't want to have our students inherently and directly make the other students feel bad for not being able to go.
And we want kids to be excited, though, about attending the program.
Yeah.
We want them to be excited and enjoy the program. But absolutely, you said it really well, Christina, that we don't want them to make others feel bad at their excitement.
So isn't LifeWise just trying to influence the next generation of voters?
LifeWise Academy is simply about teaching Bible education to public school students. We want to teach Bible-based character education. So we are nonpartisan. We are not interested in teaching any kind of things other than teaching Bible-based character education.
Yeah, there are Christians that are Democrats, there are Christians that are Republican. And so as we, say, we stick with the kingdom concepts of what does the Bible teach in terms of using the Bible stories. And we don't cross political lines. Our focus is teaching the Bible-based character education, head, heart, and hands, using the Bible stories related to Jesus Christ, with character components, because the extension of being able to implement those character components into your life.
Yeah, our goal is just to teach Bible education to public school students. You think about the situation that many of our kids are in. Many are hurting, and they need hope in their life. They need individuals to be surrounded by them that can love on them and support them through any of the challenges they're facing. As I think about it, these are our future leaders. These are the individuals that are going to grow up to be our community leaders, our government leaders, our nonprofit leaders, and help address so many of the challenges we face in society. And wouldn't we want them to have great character values like love and respect and kindness? And so that's our main goal, is to teach those values to kids and to see kids and communities and schools transformed by the love of Jesus.
Absolutely.
Why would you come to my school district? We don't want you here.
Well, first of all, I think it's really important to point out that LifeWise doesn't come to a district. Community members raise their hand and say they want to bring LifeWise Academy to their school and to their community to be able to offer religious education. LifeWise in and of itself is just a tool to be used by local communities to be able to provide this opportunity to parents and students that want this to be an integral part of their educational experience. But we're actually seeing quite the opposite. The vast majority, we were able to do a Rasmussen poll and found that over 3/4 of Americans believe that character education is important to be taught in public schools. And I think it was over half of them believe the Bible is a good way to be able to do that. And so we just want to be able to provide this opportunity to any communities that self-select and say, we want this for our public school students.
Right. Yeah. Individuals are speaking up for this opportunity. So we don't initiate the conversation. A lot of times people searching out, they find out, oh, wow, we can do this. And community by community, we're seeing people that are just coming to the table, sharing it with their neighbors that also agree with them. And for them, they want that opportunity, and we want to help them to be able to accomplish that. It's not for everybody. Again, some people have the choice whether or not they want to participate or not. And we don't want to impose, people having to participate if they choose not to. But we also don't want to deny people that want to, choosing to have that opportunity to do so.
Yeah. And what we're finding is when those folks that were opposed to it before are seeing the benefits of it, then they in turn are very thankful that they now have that opportunity within their particular community.
It's interesting to also just see the high percentage of students participating in this program. Often it's a case that more than half of the students in a student body choose to enroll in this program. Their parents choose to enroll them in this. And I think it's just showing that despite what people might think about whether people want this or not, it's showing that by and large, parents do want this for their students.
Doesn't LifeWise disrupt the operations of the school day and negatively affect students' education?
So it's kind of a similar question to, does it disrupt the school day, right? Mm-hmm. Although, taking it one step further, does it disrupt the operation of the school? We hope not. That is not our goal. We don't want to disrupt any part of the educational process. We are for the teachers. We are for the administration. We want to do whatever we can to serve and to make sure that we are, again, being a value added and not taking away anything that great is happening within the school. So we try to adjust any of our processes, any of our procedures to make sure that we are adhering to their policies, their procedures, in order to make sure that their day and all of their operations operate in the best way that they possibly can. So just a little ground level example again, as a LifeWise teacher, we were taking students in through the front door and into the lobby, and at that point then the teacher would take their students back up to their classroom. What we found was that was disrupting some of the other lines of students that were coming through. So they simply asked if we could adjust the way that we brought the students in. And of course, we adhered to that, no problem. So instead of doing that, we did an alternate route in order to make sure that their particular flow for how that they were operating within the school was as successful as they possibly could be. So we want to continue to serve, and we want want to continue to make sure that what we're doing is not taking away from their school day. It's not taking away from anything that's going on within their school. So anything that we can do to make sure that we do that, we definitely want to make sure that we partner with them in a way that is not taking away from that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most exciting things about LifeWise to me is that when a community asks us to come in and we start meeting with the educators, we don't assume that this is the one way you have to do it, or we don't tell them how to do it. We ask, where would this best fit in your school day, right? And we work with the school to find the best time that's least disruptive and can have the greatest impact on their students. And that's something we always want to do. We always want to be gathering feedback. We want to be learning as an organization. How can we better be that supportive ally to the school and not disrupt, but quite the opposite? We want to have a greater impact building on the good work that they're doing as educators.
Yeah.
All right, one last question. I'm not sure what to think. Should I be concerned about LifeWise?
I think a lot of times the mystery of something new scares people off. But what we're seeing as we are implementing LifeWise, a lot of times because of the standard of excellence that we, strive for, what people's perceptions are to actually see the program in action, it really curbs a lot of the negative that they may have felt, and really allows them to embrace what's being offered, because they do see that it's a program that is 100% supporting students. It's 100% being a support to schools and families, because we realize that we are part of a larger community and we want to be a support and a help to our communities, and we don't shy away from that. So I don't know that it, I would say just investigating for yourself. Don't just take somebody's word for it. We, can set up visits to programs so you can see, just the value that's being added to the students' lives, to the school community. And so, don't just kind of listen to the public opinion, but, just see it for yourself, experience it for yourself.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I would say don't take our word for it. Right? Look at it. Go examine it, and the proof is in the pudding. Right? I mean, you look at the statistics show that LifeWise is having a huge impact on schools and communities. The stories, the children's lives, the families, the communities that are being transformed, it's all there. And so we would just encourage you to ask questions and seek out opinions of superintendents and principals, and you will find that LifeWise is having a huge impact. Often we hear from superintendents asking, when are you going to expand into other schools in our district? Because they're seeing the real impact that it's having every day on their students' lives.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing, and that's the message, that's the theme, is to ask questions. And so I love this question. I love when people come and ask me questions that they have heard, misconceptions that they have been taught about who we are and how we operate, and that we can really then just go back to what we know and what we are about, is that it is a parent choice. This is all parent choice, that not every parent is going to want to do that and going to want to have their child in LifeWise, and that's okay. That is okay. And that we are privately funded, and that we do exist off campus. We are not in the schools. We are not a part of the schools. We are off campus, and we look to serve the schools in any way that we possibly can, because we are there for the student. We all want the best success of every student possible. And so we definitely love those questions so that we can offer what the truth is about how we operate and who we are.
So we've explored some really good questions today, and I imagine there may be some people out there that want to learn more. They want to understand more. We would definitely encourage them to visit our website at lifewise.org. And if you're interested in learning how you can bring LifeWise to your community, we would encourage you to visit lifewise.org and find your school. We have every school district in the nation loaded at the top of the site. You can click and sign to say, I want Bible education for my public school students in my community. You can sign our community interest list, and that's the very first step in getting a LifeWise going in your community.